North Hammond, Indiana. We're open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 11 till 10, Friday and Saturday from 11 to 11, and Sunday from 11 till 9. Stay hungry, my friends.
Elmwood Casket Company in Hammond and Cherville offers over 100 American-made caskets, up to 60% less expensive than area funeral homes, along with a wide selection of burial vaults and cremation urns. Our company is licensed by the state of Indiana and offers interest-free pre-arrangement plans. Call Mike at 219-844-7009 or visit elmwoodcaskets.com for pricing. Remember, you do have options to prevent overpaying at the funeral home. Elmwood Casket Company.
What gets you fired up when you think about college? Explore your roar at Purdue University Northwest. With 2 exciting campuses in Hammond and Westville, more than 70 areas of study, and NCAA Division II athletics, Purdue Northwest offers it all at an excellent value. Learn more at pnw.edu and apply today. That's pnw.edu. Join the pride at Purdue Northwest.
Knock, knock, who's there? Mike Brown. Mike Brown, who? Knock, knock, who's there? Mike Brown. Mike Brown, who? Can you guys get me one of my notebooks over there, please? Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Jim Deedlow, host of JED in the Region, hanging out with you guys on a Monday morning. Monday morning, you look so fine. Friday, you got traveling on your mind. Hey, it's 28 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest, where I'll be teaching sports broadcasting today at about 11 a.m. Someone changed my chair around. I almost fell backwards. And it is 27 degrees at Ironworkers Local 395 in Potage. There is a sponsorship at Local 395 that are responsible for my hands being ice cold right now. I went out and put some stuff in my car this morning. I'm like, it's not that cold. I'll just wear a windbreaker. And I'll even not take the gloves because I'm a man. I'm a man. And I'm like, it's supposed to be 53 degrees. How cold could it be? Well, it's 27, 28 degrees out there right now. And these are the kind of hands that, when you get to 8th grade and you reach a certain level of maturity, and then for the rest of your life, you never really change that level of maturity. Well, these hands are perfect for, say, you come inside and the wife's sitting there drinking a cup of coffee quietly, and you just come up right behind and you stick hands down the back of her shirt, and she jumps and the coffee goes flying because your hands are ice cold. Or better yet, you're sitting next to her and that right hand just kind of slips up behind the little dress or the little shirt she might be wearing, and you go right on the kind of the side of the body with these just ice cold hands, and then she just jumps up and is like, can't you ever grow up? And then you're like, you ponder that question and you say, can I ever grow up? And then you keep asking it to yourself the rest of the day, can I ever grow up? And I'm like trying to grow up, and I want to grow up, but I'm still back in Sister Mary Jean's math class at St. Thomas More with cold hands, and it just isn't going away. Anyways, today those hands should warm up, sunny and not as cold. A high of 53 tonight. It gets on to 36. Clear. I'll tell you what, I mentioned to you guys that I got woken up in the middle of the night, couldn't go back to bed, so I watched old Johnny Carson reruns and read another story by Ring Lardner, which just goes to show. You know what? Now that we're in the middle of the weather forecast brought to you by our good friends at Laborers Local 41, of which I am a proud alum, I was thinking about that. I'm like, I just finished a John Fonte novel, and before that I read some Dickens, and then I was reading some Ring Lardner last night, and not before that I was reading some of the Pat Hobby stories by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and I realized that I'm like reading stuff that's like 50 to 100 years old, and that kind of affects your brain. You start thinking that life is different around you because you're reading stuff from so long ago, and then you come to work and then you realize that we hate each other and that there's just a lot of shooting of little kids and stuff, and then it's just kind of a bifurcated world. So I'm going to stop doing that, and I'm only going to read stuff that hasn't been written yet now. So I've gone from the past to the future. So I'm only going to read future stuff that hasn't been written. And so then maybe that'll balance things out. Anyways, tomorrow a high of 58, mostly sunny and mild. And let's see. Wednesday, a high of 50, mild with clouds and sun. Hey, can the high school baseball teams practice yet? No. All right. Ryan says yes, and Sam says no. We have what is known in radio as radio. So they're going to argue about it off air, and then I'll give you play-by-play of what their discussion's happening here. What's the question? Can they practice yet or no? Yes and no. Okay, so we've got something going on. We got something to look forward to. I'll have both those guys in here about 6:22. We got the guy who hit the Andrean winning shot. What's his last name? Hudson? What? Can I call him 32700? James Hudson's coming in, and he's going to come in, and I'm going to go, hey, 32700. And he's not going to know anything, but his dad's going to go, oh, that's funny. And James Hudson is going to call, or is he coming in? He's calling in. He hit the winning shot. This is quite the shot. Could you guys line that up to play it for people soon, and then we'll play it again when he's on? Ryan, you had a great call on that also. Ryan Wall's forced to do the game by himself because his broadcast partner on Friday was scheduled to be Dan Repay. And Dan Repay is the head of the Little Calumet. He's the executive director of the Little Calumet River Commission. And Dan had some real issues at Lake Shan. He had to cancel at the last minute, so Ryan did the call from Andrean by himself. They're quite the pair, and that is Ryan and Dan Repay are going to be out at Whiting for the sectional starting tomorrow. We're going to talk all about that. And then Sam Michael and Peter Krakowski mostly. Is Peter in or no? Or is it Pagatti? Friday and Saturday. So Pagatti will join him probably Tuesday. And then maybe Pagatti will come out with me on Friday, Saturday with me and Kuziak out to Lake Central. Yes, I'm coming out of retirement. As Larry Simano asked me yesterday, hey, you coming out? Larry Simano did the Michigan City Marquette State Championship game as the referee. Larry is married to Weisnora's sister, Laura, who went to high school with me. And I saw Larry yesterday at the Munster youth basketball stuff, and we talked about the Marquette game, which he officiated. I guess Craig Fought also had a state championship game in the girls too. And so we had some local refs down there, and another guy he mentioned I didn't know. So we were well represented. Congratulations to the state champion Michigan City Marquette team as they brought one home in Class 1A. I guess that's kind of the region. That's Michigan City. All right, so 53-58, 53-48. That's your highs going forward on a rather lengthy weathercast. Let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. To Bishop Ford could be worse. Got a little bit of a brake tapper at the merge, but nothing big. Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65. I'll tell you what, it's pretty light out right now in traffic, but it's cold out and it's going to warm up in such a hurry. Alexis and I took our first walk around Wicker Park yesterday, and what an amazing moment that is. By the way, traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. For those watching on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, you can see it right there. It's just very Sam Michael flashing up the traffic map, and it's just really light. It's never that green as you're seeing it right now. But I'll tell you what is starting to get green, and that is Wicker Park. Went for a walk around there yesterday. That is the first of the year. I think it was 44 degrees when we went, and it was kind of windy. It was real windy. And the wind, though, was coming out of the south. So if you have ever walked Wicker Park from the parking lot, the main parking lot over by the park and all of the shelters, and then you walk eastbound along Ridge Road all the way to the corner of US 41 and Indianapolis Boulevard. That was fine. Then you turn and you walk north, and you're walking along Indianapolis Boulevard. That was fine. And then you get to the back of Wicker Park, and you can go up on the banks of the Little Cal and of Hart Ditch. Now you don't have to stay on the concrete. You can go up, and maybe it's a little longer walk. And then as soon as you turned going south, that wind was just howling in your face. And if it was 44 degrees and about a 25-mile-an-hour wind in your face, it was a little chillier than I had at first suspected it might be. But I'll tell you what, it is just it's time to get outside and get a little bit of sunshine. Seemed like it was cloudy and raining or snowing for like 4 weeks. And then all of a sudden we had yesterday and then we have today. So just drink it in, people. Why is a big dump truck stopping in front of my window here? Hey, can you swing that around here on the dump truck here? Swing the camera around and, well, it's not, you're not going to, there it is right there. You already got one on there. That's pretty good. What do you think that is? Huh? Guy just wants to stop and talk. All right, I had the guy walking down the street today. I had another guy drop off sun chips, and now we've got the garbage, the dumpster in front of the window here. Does anybody smell rotten banana peel all of a sudden? Do you burnt potato chips? You smell that slight sewage smell? Me too. What were we going to talk about? All right, we started to talk about something, but, I wanted to I got to cover some crime stories. And a sign of the times was Saturday's Times. And it is, all right, you got the feds indicting 9 for drugs, including murder and so forth. And one of the 9 that they indict is the husband of Gary Councilwoman Linda Barnes Caldwell. And this guy's name is Teddy Caldwell. And they're saying that they giving him a murder count in the connection with 2 murders, including one of them was Kevin Hood. In July, a 43-year-old businessman gunned down outside his own car wash. And that was a pretty big one. But let's not just stop there. How about in this shooting death at a Maryville hotel? Police say a Gary man staying at the Roadway Inn lost his temper in gunning down another motel guest Thursday after he learned he carelessly left a credit card skimming device out for the cleaning maids to see. So the guy's name is Victor Young, and evidently he is charged with shooting Miles Beach. They're both of Gary. Victor's 40 and Miles is 37 at the motel at 6201 Opportunity Lane. Anybody stay at the Roadway Inn? You know where that is? I don't know that either. 6201 Maryville. Is that right off I-65? It's got to be. So let's see. If Van Drain's 5959, and then there's 61st Avenue. So maybe if you took say you were at Andrain and you took 61st eastbound and you went over I-65, is there a hotel there to the right before Menards? I guess there probably is. That's my guess where that is. 6201 anywhere. Anyways. And it's kind of confusing in this rather lengthy article about it, but somehow one of the women who works there decided to go start hanging out with one of the guys. Next thing you know, there's this big hullabaloo, and one shoots the other and one's dead. How's that feel? Now we got another one. This is all in one newspaper. All right, you got this shooting of Kevin Hood and the indictment, this Gary City Councilwoman's husband. Then you got the Maryville Hotel where the guy's, hey, you got a credit card skimming machine you left out. Let me shoot you. And now we got another one. And this is probably the most disturbing one. And that is the one of Dariana Hamblin. Now, Dariana, if you see her picture, she looks kind of sweet, but evidently she's going to spend a considerable amount of time behind bars for the shooting in the armed robbery 2 years ago that killed her cousin, Brandon Johnson. Now, as far as I read it, her cousin, Brandon Johnson, 22-year-old, was fatally shot by Kalen P. Scott, and he's an Air National Guardsman. Now, Scott said that he followed Hamlin behind a home when Johnson pressed a handgun against his stomach. Now, this guy, Kalen P. Scott, was able to retrieve his own handgun and repeatedly shot the guy, Brandon Johnson. And so this Hamblin didn't shoot anybody, but she was, they're saying, involved in the robbery. And even though there was some discrepancy in identifying her in a police lineup, one of the guys, Duia McNeil, selected 2 photos, including Hamlin's, from the lineup, but could not choose between the 2 photos. Still, the jury is going to put her away. Now, here's the deal, and this is I think, good information for people to have, especially if you're hanging around the wrong people. Here it is. Hamlin was found guilty in the murder of her cousin, even though she was with her cousin, and she did not shoot him because she participated in the robbery, an inherently dangerous felony that resulted in Johnson's death. And under Indiana's felony murder statute, Hamlin was therefore as culpable for the death as if she herself shot Johnson. I knew that, but you don't see it every day. Now, we got other killings. Would you like to hear some more? I've got more, actually. And this guy in Crown Point guy evidently working with the guy at an Arby's and turns and shoots him. His name is 39-year-old Raymond Dillawayo. He was arrested in connection with the slaying of Jared Valentine. So plenty of people shooting each other over the weekend, and it just doesn't get any better. I got plenty more. So last week and over the weekend, just a lot of gun violence in the Calumet region. Now, that's the beginning there. Now, a couple of things I wanted to hit in terms of possible violence are these things going on at school. Now, we followed the situation at Griffith High School where a young man brought a gun to school, and he went to the school resource officer and said, "Hey, listen, I'm 18. I got a gun. I forgot I had it in my pocket. Can I take it out to my car and put it in my lockbox?" And they said, "No, you can't." And they arrested him, and it looks like you might get a felony for bringing that on, or they might charge him with that. Well, another thing happened with Griffith High School. Ryan, did you follow this one too? This is just crazy crap, man. All right, here we go. This is out of the Times. We had heard of this. And, Ryan, can you find me the Griffith police email on this? Authorities were notified of an alleged threat against Griffith High School when students presented a school resource officer with a video by a former student making threats. Turin Dillon, formerly of Griffith, who now lives in Indianapolis, faced 2 counts of intimidation, a level 6 felony. Is that the same Turin Dillon, Ryan? Is that him? Turin Dillon, the basketball player? Really? I didn't put that together until just now. Wow. Man, he's a good basketball player. What happened there? Is that the same one that they said beat someone at a party? No, that's a different Griffith basketball player, right? He's not the one involved in the party beating, was he? No, all right. Well, man, I'll tell you what. Sam Hill is going on here. Dillon recorded himself on Snapchat threatening to shoot up his former school. He allegedly drove 150 miles from Indianapolis to Griffith to film the threatening video. Video starts with Dillon looking into the camera, and then it shows a picture of the east side of Griffith High. According to the affidavit, it says the picture contains several inches of plowed snow, and the administrative faculty parking lot appears to be full as it would be during a weekday when school was in session. Dillon is then heard saying, I can't say it on the air, shoot you all down, and yeah, N-word, old stomping groups, I'll shoot this whole SH up. I don't give no blankety blank blank, according to court records. So what is going on with Turin Dillon? Woo! So in 1 week, you have here it is. A current Griffith High student was charged this week for inadvertently bringing a gun into school, but school officials said it was a mistake. Oops, there it is. You also have in Munster some sort of threat at St. Thomas More Elementary School. Now, they're not saying what it was. Police worked with school officials to investigate it, and the possible threat was determined not to be credible. And in Chesterton, a parent upset after being contacted triggered an emergency response this week after posting on Facebook was interpreted as a threat to the school's principal. And in Gary, sheriff's detectives arrested a 13-year-old boy. He allegedly posted his social media plans to shoot up Lake Ridge Middle School. Are you guys listening to this? Do you want a rundown on the possible threats of shoot-ups at different schools? How does that make you feel, by the way? Griffith Torrin, the former basketball player, they're saying that he made a video saying he was going to shoot the whole school up. You got the Gary threats to shoot that school up. You have some sort of threat that we don't really know against St. Thomas More in Munster. And then you had another possible threat in Chesterton against that school. Are you guys done? Murders and threats and killings and so forth. Why don't we hit the issue there, okay? And here it is on the front page of USA Today. Doodly-doo-doo-doo. The three of you on AM, FM, and on TuneIn Radio app, you can't see what I'm doing. But those of you on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube got it right here. It says right here, USA backs stricter gun laws. Americans overwhelmingly support tougher gun laws. A new USA Today poll finds. But they overwhelmingly agree on this. Congress isn't likely to act anytime soon. So in the wake of another deadly school shooting, this time in Florida, the disconnect between public opinion and predictions of legislative inaction is sharp. Advocates of gun control and others wonder if the outcry sparked by students who survived the Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland might shake the political calculations that have stymied significant new limits on guns for decades. And the answer is, to me, that nothing will happen, and here's why. I have talked to you guys many times about the imbalance in wealth distribution. Wealth distribution, it's hard to say with a dry mouth. Hey, you got that spray for dry mouth? Bring it on over here. Hopefully it smells like mint. That's too hot. Wealth distribution puts an inordinate amount of power and money in the richest of the richest hands. So that when you have an issue that would be negative for the richest of the rich, they just spread that wealth around so that they keep it just keep things the way they are so they continue to make money. And that's what happens when you have an imbalance in the wealth distribution. When things are a little bit more spread out, then you don't have that happening as easily. But now it's pretty easy to basically control things if you have enough money. And so even though 76% of people would like some stricter gun laws, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you that right now. Everybody's looking, well, maybe it's different because these suburban kids are coming out and they're very eloquently saying that maybe we should review what we're doing here with guns in America. But it's not going to happen. The people that are associated with the NRA are just way too rich and way too powerful, and they can just buy people. So that's how America works these days. Why don't we take a break and ponder the murders, the threats of shooting up local schools, and then, of course, the amount of kids that were shot and killed at Parkland, Florida. And then we'll come back, and then we'll just kind of go in a different direction. Be right back. We've got 32700 on the line, and we're going to talk about an excellent positive thing that happened over the weekend.
Giovanni's in Munster, Northwest Indiana's premier Italian cuisine. Come enjoy our expertly prepared veal, steak, seafood, and other Italian delicacies. Experience over 20 years of entertainment with our piano player Jack every Friday and Saturday evening in the lounge. And join our VIP or e-rewards on your next stop in. Host your special event, shower, or celebration in our back room. Giovanni's is located at 603 Ridge Road in Munster. Call 836-6220 to make a reservation. Check out our menu at giosmunster.com.
For generations, you've trusted Edgewater Systems to provide compassionate, high-quality care. As the science of behavioral health has evolved, it's revealed the important connection between physical and behavioral health. With this in mind, we're pleased to introduce Edgewater Health, which includes primary care, in addition to our long-standing mental health and addiction services. Whichever combination of services you need, Edgewater Health is here for you for your whole life. Learn more at edgewaterhealth.org.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? 6:30 in the Calumet region, and I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the region on AM, FM, and TuneIn Radio, and then also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube video. So welcome in to the Calumet region. It's nice and bright out behind me. We've got a great day coming our way. Right now it's only 28 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest, but it's going up to a high of 53 and sunny. Just a beautiful afternoon. Right now 27 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios. It's also 27 at Local 41 in Munster, and it is 28 degrees at Local 697 CertifiedElectrician.com in Maryville. And then Tuesday, a high of 58, mostly sunny and mild. And on Wednesday, a high of 53, mild with clouds and sun. And in terms of traffic, it's been very light as 294 looks good, 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford starting to get a little bit of a tight spot at the merge, but not too bad. And the Dan Ryan looks good. So does the Skyway Toll Road, Barman I-65. Traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda. And we are going to hear from a guy by the name of James Hudson. James, how are you today, man?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
Okay, can you talk up a little bit?
Yeah. Can you hear me good now?
Yeah, I think I can hear you a little bit better. Where are you calling from? You still at home or what?
Yeah, I'm still at home. Just woke up.
Wait a second. Are you laying in bed, James?
No, I got up for this.
All right, you got up for this. Way to go, man. You're a senior now, right?
Yeah, I'm a senior.
Hey, it's a tie ball game against Bishop Nolan, and the score and the clock is winding down, and you catch the ball about 30 feet from the basket. What were you thinking at that moment?
I was thinking that I had to get to the second.
All right, you really got to talk up, all right? Talk into that phone real tight, okay? Go ahead.
I was thinking that I had to just make a play. I was going to try to get to the basket, but then I didn't have as much time as I thought I did, so I just had to create a shot.
You didn't really create a shot, though, did you? You just kind of heaved it to the basket, huh?
Yeah, but we worked on those in the walkthrough, and we practiced those a lot, so I was kind of confident in the shot.
Who passed it to you?
My friend Caden Helfrey. He's a great teammate.
Really? So how many seniors on that Andrean team right now?
Believe we have 7 or 8 seniors.
So you guys have been playing together for a while, huh?
Yeah, me and Caden have been playing together all 4 years.
So, James, you're in there at the end of the game. It's senior night, right? So it's a big deal. You got everybody came out and introduced all their family and stuff, right?
Yeah, it was senior night. It was a great atmosphere.
It was a packed place, Bishop Noel, Andrean. And then you hit the winning shot, a 30-foot three, and everybody ran on the floor and pretty much just suffocated you. How'd that feel?
That was probably one of the craziest things I've ever experienced in high school basketball. That's something I'll never forget. It was so much fun.
The only problem is that all the time wasn't gone, right?
Yeah, it was 2.1 seconds left, so we just had to finish the game out, and then after that we just started celebrating.
Now, yeah, so basically if you guys go watch this on our Facebook Live feed, it's actually pretty good stuff. It's Who's Your Hysteria at its best. James gets mobbed and thrown into the boards under the basket, and then the refs peel everybody off, and then they do it again when the game really ends. So
yeah. What
a big celebration for the 59ers. What did your coach say after the game?
He was proud. He just said that, he told me in the locker room at halftime to just, keep playing my game, and good things are going to happen. Because I believe before that I was, 0 for 5 or 0 for 6, and my teammates just told me, they were going to give me the ball, and I was going to be able to make plays, get assists. And I kept my head held high, and then made a play at the end of the game.
I tell you what, James, that's very exciting stuff. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up? What town?
I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and I moved here in the 5th grade. So just kept playing basketball.
So what town you live in now?
I'm from Gary.
What part of Gary?
The west side.
So if you did not go to Andrean, you would have wound up going to West Side then. Is that right?
Probably not. My mom was looking for like a better choice, but that was like the last option.
So you wound up at Andrean. You're a senior now. Now you got to tell us what your plans are. You want to go to college? You want to go get a job? What are you going to
I'm planning to go to college to study sports medicine and physical therapy and continue to play basketball.
Why sports medicine?
Last year I had an injury during the season, and like I did physical therapy, and I got that full experience, and I just really like found a love for that. Like I loved seeing how people help other people get back to doing something that they love, and I love sports, and I love being around people, so it just seems like a great career for me.
How's the grades going?
It's going good. The second semester is going really good. First semester went good as well. Just trying to finish out the year strong.
All right, we're talking to James Hudson. He hit a 30-foot three, which we're going to hear right now with Ryan Walsh. See if you stay on the line there, James, you'll be able to hear it. Go ahead. We're going to play it in just a moment here. Oh,
seniors here on senior night trying to escape their archdiocese rival. Under 10 to go. 3 seconds. Way outside. Three-pointer from Hudson. And wait a minute. We're going to have time on the clock. And Drain has stormed the floor. 57-54. And I didn't see it go in because students in front of me blocked my view from the basket. But there is time on the clock after the three-pointer from almost half court from James Hudson.
I would have to describe what's going on the screen at this point. Is that it looks like the entire Andrean student body ran in and surrounded James Hudson under the basket, and then the refs had to come in and peel them off and send them all back to their seats. Hey, James, you guys are looking at going to the sectionals. What's the mood on the team right now?
Going into the sectionals, we're very confident. We're gonna have a great week of practice this week, and we're on a 3-game winning streak right now, so we have a lot of momentum going into sectionals, and we're just gonna go out and give it our best and try to get a sectional fair and drain.
All right, let's look at this draw, everybody. It's going to be at Whiting, and Ryan Walsh, who was a call there, will be there with Dan Repay for all of these games, and that will start out at 5 o'clock on Tuesday, as you guys can watch all of these games on Facebook Live. Believe it or not, I cut a deal with the IHSAA to Facebook Live these games. We just kind of got it done, and so we're going to do this. It's going to be Bishop Knoll and River Forest are going to open up on Tuesday, and then Roosevelt and Lake Station. The winner of the Roosevelt Lake Station game will have Andrean on Friday at 7:30, and then Whiting will play the winner of Bishop Knoll and River Forest. So I know nobody wants to look ahead, but there is that possibility you could do another Catholic War. How would that fit with you? Because that would be in the championship on Saturday night. What do you think, James?
That would be crazy. I was talking to one of my friends that goes to Bishop Knoll, and he told me like getting that championship because we're going to be there. And I was telling him how much fun that would be to play them again.
All right, man. James, thanks for waking up, and thanks for bringing us such an exciting moment on Saturday night. And good luck going into the sectionals. But I think even more, good luck on getting into the right college and getting that sports medicine degree going on. Thanks a lot, James.
Thank you.
Talk to you.
Have a good day.
You too. All right, there you go. Pretty exciting stuff. Ryan Walsh on the call. It kind of shows a little bit of – that was a Friday night game, Ryan? I'm sorry, that was Friday night. And it shows a little bit of the change in media around here also, in that on Friday night we had the Indiana game on, which was a great game in and of itself. And it was at Ohio State game, correct? And we had the Bishop Knoll and Dre game on Facebook Live video only. And we were able to bring that to you from Andrea. And thanks a lot to the folks at Andrea that helped set us up. It takes a little bit more work for the athletic directors and the IT people to get us all set up. So I know it can be a little bit of a hassle, but you know what? That moment in Andrean basketball history is now preserved, and it's had about 4,500 unique views on that game on the night. So, you know, it promotes the kids, it promotes the schools, and it's kind of a running commercial, and plus they have the memories of it. And so we appreciate it when the guys and the gals at the schools go out of their way. But it also shows the difference in that we ran the college game on the radio and we did the high school game in video. And it's just a different mix these days. So with that being said, I want to say thank you to a lot of different people, including Community Hospital, who late Friday agreed to be the presenting sponsor, Community Healthcare, of the 2018 basketball tournament, as we have come together with Region Sports Network. Region Sports is going to be out at Chesterton, and we're going to be at Lake Central, Hammond, and Whiting with our WJOB crews, and we're going to try to do all 4 of those sectionals, as many games as we can get in. I've enlisted the help of my sports broadcasting class, and I've got many students are going to be dispersed over some of the games. And, of course, I've enlisted the help of a number of people who kind of just help out and don't ask to get paid, kind of in the tradition of Verley Suggs and Dan Ripe and John Pagatti and Dave Kuziak and Peter Krakowski and all these folks that just help out on the broadcast for just because they want to see high school basketball get furthered. So we have a huge week coming up here. You're going to be able to put your phone on and you'll be able to sit at one game and you'll be able to watch another game on your phone. And that's just going to be Facebook. We're not going to go to Twitter and YouTube for that. And we have a number of people who signed up, including Community Healthcare. We've got Staff Source across the street. We've got Tauber Law Firm. We got a whole slew of them, and we're really kind of sold out at this point on it. Maybe we could take 1 or 2 more, Ryan says. We could take 2 more. But you better be the first ones in the morning, because I already told those guys we're kind of loaded up on it. It was an amazing response when we called people. They said, hey, we want to video all these games. I just cut a deal with Bobby Cox of the IHSAA for us to do these games in video. And I don't think we got turned down anywhere we called. As a matter of fact, a number of people called us. And so we appreciate that. I just knew there were a couple that I wanted to call and get in on this. Typically, they're people that I think should be kind of longer-term clients and aren't here now. But there it is. So it's going to be presented by Community Healthcare, the entire tournament. And we're going to do the sectionals. Most of the big week's going to be the sectionals. It's going to be it's going to have both a broadcasting and an educational element, and that my broadcasting students are going to help with the Tuesday and Wednesday broadcasts. And then on Friday or Saturday, each group of 2 is going to announce the entire game into a tape recorder. And at some of the sites, we'll even put them on live for a little bit, just to get them, just say they broadcasted live during a high school sectional game in video and on radio. So we will have my two-person teams out at the 3 sites, and they will be announcing the games, and sometimes you'll be able to even hear them a little bit during the broadcast. So got an educational element to it. We got tons of people that have stepped up to pay for it, because it's going to cost a ton of money to get all this done. Then, of course, we had to buy a little bit more equipment. So we're going to get it done. It's going to be cool. You guys will be able to watch this stuff on your phones. And we'll go from there. I can't tell you how excited I am about that. But I'll tell you what, it all ends in Indianapolis, okay? And we got a guy that just called from Indianapolis. We're going to be to him in just about 1 minute. AM 1230, WJLB 104.7, the voice of the region.
Ironworkers Local 395, through their contractor employers, the Northwest Indiana Contractors Association, are the workers you see building Northwest Indiana. They are the craftsmen building your schools, hospitals, malls, steel mills, and manufacturing plants. They support local charities, including Tradewinds and Chasing Dreams, and they coach your kids after work and on the weekend. They live, work, and contribute to all of our local communities' economic growth. To find out more about these organizations, visit ironworkers395.com or nwicontractors.org.
Rush Radiosurgery deploys revolutionary technology in the fight against prostate cancer in just 5 outpatient treatments. With radiosurgery treatment for prostate cancer, there is no pain, no surgery, and you can go back to your normal activities right after treatment. Prostate cancer does not fight fair, and neither should you. For more information, contact Rush Radiosurgery at 312-942-4600 or visit us at rushradiosurgery.com.
No case is typical. Results will vary by patient, and there's no guarantee other patients will experience these results.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, did you guys go pick up the Sun Chips? Okay, yeah, thanks a lot to the Sun Chips guy. Big truck, by the way, who brought over a big bags of Doritos, Cheetos, and Sun Chips. Once again, I do believe he's thinking that I'm going to make a wampum run, so we need a little Doritos and Cheetos around, but I don't think so. Hey, 646 in the Calumet region, 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65. A beautiful day along Indianapolis Boulevard. The sun stretches between the high tension wires to remind us that there is good, hope, beautiful things in this world, like brand new white cotton socks on the way to playing basketball for the very first time. Anyways, let's take a look at what the weather, the traffic there is, brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda. And in terms of the weather, high of 53 today, sunny and not as cool. But I'll tell you what, right now it's 27 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios, 25 degrees at the Strachan Van Til Studios. I'm sorry, it's actually dipping right now. It's pretty cold out there. My hands are now just getting warm from being out there 46 minutes ago. And tomorrow it gets even warmer, a high of 58, mostly sunny and mild. By Wednesday, mild with clouds and sun and a high of 53. 3 beautiful days to close out February and to get us going into high school sectionals. But I'll tell you what else is going to close out not too far from now, and that is the Indiana legislative session. And calling us right now from Indianapolis is Dan Carden. Dan, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing all right. You know, you're our main link. You and another guy calls in regularly, Kevin Brinegar. I bet you see him around the halls there from time to time.
I do. I do, from the Chamber of Commerce.
Do you get along with them?
Sure. I mean,
that was a hesitation.
Out on weekends. But...
Hey, that was a hesitation that we are all going to read something into. How's that sound?
We don't hang out on weekends, but, you know, I have no personal objection to him.
All right, good enough. Hey, Dan, let's just get the number one thing on everybody's mind out. How long will it take for us to be able to buy Bud Light on a Sunday?
From what I understand, Governor Holcomb plans to sign that measure into law this week. And if you remember, the House put an immediate effective date on it. So as soon as he signs it, the next Sunday will be the first for Sunday sales. So you're probably looking at March 4th. This coming Sunday will be the first, really in state history, with Sunday sales.
You know what would be the best celebration here in Indiana is if Purdue and IU played in the finals of the Big Ten tournament on Sunday, March 4th from New York City, and you could buy beer and take it home and drink it on your back porch when it's going to be in the 50s. Doesn't that sound like a great plan?
Well, and the irony is you can always buy at sporting events held on Sundays. And you could always buy, or not always, but since the 70s, you could buy at restaurants and bars on Sundays. It was just this weird holdover that, sure, you can go to a restaurant and drink all you want, or a bar and drink all you want, and then drive home. But you can't beer at a store and take it home and drink it there because, you know, it's Indiana.
Do you drink?
I don't.
All right, so this doesn't affect you. What
Nope.
do you
Couldn't
think
carry either way.
what do you think the percentage is in Indiana that doesn't really give a rat's patootie on this because they don't drink? You know, what do you think? Probably 20% maybe?
20-30%.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, it's embarrassing to tell people you're from Indiana, and that's one of the few things people know about the state. It's like, oh, yeah, I was there for a convention, or I was there for the Super Bowl, and I couldn't buy a beer to drink in my hotel room or anything like that. So it's one of those things that Indiana is known for that it probably doesn't want to be known for.
You know, really, if you think about it, that kid with the Olympics coming up with he didn't want to like be by Pence because he's the governor of a state and he was perceived as being anti-gay. I guess, things get around. You can't buy booze there on Sunday. Remember that. They don't like gays, and you can't smoke weed there. But you can gamble.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, gamble all you want. So I guess we balance it out a little bit. What else going on? Go ahead.
Although the gambling, in a very Indiana way, they put the gambling in somewhat inaccessible places. So it's, you have to drive all the way up to the lake to do it, or it's worse on the Ohio River where it's like you have to go down these like, narrow roads through a forest to get to the riverboats down there, and it's just, why would we want to put these in? I mean, now we're starting to do land-based, so Evansville is in downtown, but Indiana, there still isn't a casino in Indianapolis, which would bring in a ton of money for the state. They have it 30 miles away at 2 horse tracks, so it's it's still a very Indiana kind of thing. We have it. We want people from other states to play there, but we don't really want to see it.
What else going on? I know I always ask you about this, but just project. You think next session, the long session, the next one, we could be voting on some sort of a marijuana legalization?
Probably. This election is going to determine a lot of things. There's a lot of talk about this being a potential wave election for the Democrats because Trump and some of the congressional Republicans are very unpopular. I don't know if that filters down to the General Assembly races. Those districts are pretty effectively gerrymandered in favor of Republicans. You probably won't see what happened in Virginia, where the Republican supermajorities in the state legislature got flipped to basically being a 50-50 split. But you never know what can happen. And you're starting to see, even on the Republican side, this libertarian wave of, why are we stopping people from smoking a product that isn't going to harm them? So it's possible. I think what'll probably tip it in Indiana is if our neighboring states legalize it. I believe there's ballot questions in Ohio and Michigan this year in November. So, once it's legal in neighboring states, it's going to be hard to keep it out of Indiana. Even just from a revenue perspective, the state's going to say, we're losing a ton of money. If we legalize it, we could tax it and benefit from that. We'll see. I mean, they are moving forward on CBD oil this session. If you remember, Attorney General Curtis Hill made a big stink about that, saying it's illegal, and General Assembly is going to say, oh, really? How about we just legalize it? And that is moving forward. So you and Tom McDermott's dog will be allowed to enjoy CBD oil probably sometime later this year.
CBD oil has never been my oil of choice, so to speak. But, Dan, people, we talk and people think, oh, these guys must know each other. Have we ever met in person?
I don't think so.
No. So I've seen pictures of you, and you've seen pictures of.
I'm very handsome.
Yeah, you're a handsome guy. Or, I'd say I'm handsomer, but that's just personal opinion. But you've seen pictures of me, right? I mean, you've seen it. So, do you think I was a guy that back in the day that, unlike Bill Clinton, that I actually inhaled?
I could see that.
Okay, I just wondered what the aura is that's given off by those kind of pictures. You don't need to answer that. That was a rhetorical question. This is, I don't very rarely come out and say, man, I'd like to see this pass or this not pass. But I think personally, I would like to see it pass because my daughter needs help with her excessive migraines and always has. And she can get that help in New York State where she's living now. She can't get that help here because it's not legal. And that is a factor in her not coming back to this area. And I just put that out there because I wonder if there's more people that kind of have the parochial interest of saying, I really don't care if you legalize it or not, but for this one reason. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, what else going down there?
This is really, there's just a ton of stuff is going to happen this week. There's less than 3 weeks left in the session, so this is when everything starts to move, all the deals start to be made. So you're going to start to see sort of a lot of finalized stuff coming out. One thing that did happen on Friday that's probably very relevant to Lake County is the Indiana Election Commission decided that it would try again to consolidate the voting precincts in Lake County. Lake County has more precincts with very few voters in it than any other county in the state. They couldn't come up with a map last year to consolidate those precincts in order to, they say, to save money. So after the Attorney General told them that they still had an obligation to do it, they decided on Friday that they would get back at it eventually. It probably won't affect the primary election, but in the general election, some people might be voting in places that they haven't been voting in before, although there is a federal lawsuit trying to stop it too. So it's hard to what's going to come out of that, but that's back on the table here again.
All right, and what about the gun, any gun legislation? I was reading somewhere online in somebody's post that they're going to change background check requirements, waive the lifetime handgun carry permit fee, and clarify that people can bring firearms onto church grounds. Have you been following any of that?
I have. It's that's one of those things where everything is sort of up in the air right now. That proposal started out as let's get rid of handgun licenses altogether, and it got scaled back. So now they're talking about let's get rid of the fee attached to one type of license, but there's like a $17 million cost of doing that. So even if they do approve that, it's probably not going to go into effect until next July after the next budget is passed, and then they might decide that, hey, we need that $17 million because it pays for police training, and decide to take that back. So there is another plan that would some schools allow churches to meet in their buildings on the weekends. Right, and it's up to individual churches whether or not they allow guns. Under state law, you could never bring a gun into a school, but if the school is operating as a church, some church members say they want to be able to have their gun with them because, the Prince of Peace was all about heavy firearms. So that measure is, it's passed the Senate, and so now it's being considered by the House. See what happens to it. There's a lot of rethinking of gun proposals right now in the wake of the latest school shooting. So, it's got to just wait and see.
All right, there it is, Dan Carden. Dan, like always, thanks for keeping us updated. And you could read Dan Carden's latest at NWI.com, where you can just subscribe to the paper and get it. And he's mostly on the front page as we wind down the sessions. Dan, thank you so much.
You got it.
All right, there it is, Local 599, Dan Carden. Be right back here on the voice and face of the region. CertifiedElectrician.com.
When you're in the dark, where do you turn to find a trusted professional who can assure the safety of your home or business electrical system? Certified Electrician is here to help. Looking for a highly skilled electrical contractor for your next construction project? CertifiedElectrician.com is where to find one. We connect you with pre-screened electrical professionals living right here in Northwest Indiana. Experts in residential, commercial, voice data video, and signage. Certified Electrician can fulfill all your electrical needs. Visit CertifiedElectrician.com.
From the Strachan Van Til Studios, your local Strachan Van Til has some great products on sale this week. Here's a few items you might want to add to your shopping list. Certified Angus Beef Boneless Chuck Roast, $3.49 a pound. Smithfield Prime All Natural Boneless Center Cut Pork Chops, family size packages, $2.49 a pound. And fresh strawberries, 16-ounce packages, $1.99 each. Strachan Van Til, proud to be Indiana made and dedicated to being Indiana's grocery store.
Carpenter's Local 599 joins with other Carpenter locals to build the local economy and has been doing so for over 117 years. We are proud to be a member of the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters, which is threefold: training, professionalism, and partnership. We also offer some of the best benefits in the industry. To find out how to become a member of Carpenter's Local 599, contact us at 219-942-0518 or log on to ikorcc.com.
AM 1230, WJOB in Hammond, Indiana. I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the Region, hanging out with you guys on hexagonal broadcasting, which means that we are on 3 radio distributions and 3 video distributions. One day we'll just get it all right, and it'll be in one thing, and it'll be like everywhere. But right now it's AM and FM and a TuneIn radio app you can get anytime. And then we're, of course, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube video. Don't forget, we are going to do sectional basketball in video on your phones. We're also doing the Big Ten tournament this week, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Traffic, 294 around the city, looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway, Toll Road, Borman, I-65 are all moving along well. You know how we do traffic here? We do it as a group. We do it as people who actually care about each other. And if you see some traffic out, you need to call us or text us to 219-845-1100 immediately. And traffic is brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda. Hey, if you're looking for a car, start right there on Torrance in Lansing, riveroakshonda.com. What do you have in terms of the weather? High of 53. Right now it's in the mid-20s, 25 degrees here at the Vac-and-Strand Till Studios on the campus of Newport West. And it's going up to a high of 53. And tomorrow, high 58, and Wednesday, high 53. Some really kind of nice days coming up. Then it rains on Thursday and gets quite a bit cooler. And there you go. Now 27 degrees at Ironworkers Local 395, 26 degrees at Local 599 across the city of Hammond here. And what do we have in terms of some messages that have come in? Jed, you should watch Kevin Brinegar at his kids' swim meets. Evidently, he gesticulates wildly, is what it's saying here. That young man, James Hudson, a very dynamic young man. And we just interviewed James Hudson, who hit the long 3 and ran over Bishop. No, Ryan Walsh is here. Ryan, before we talk about that game, congratulations on putting together a program in which we will be broadcasting from 3 sites in video. I think I cut the deal, but Ryan's kind of putting together the program and basically sold it out in a couple of days. So people want video, and the local community has stepped up to be a part of this. We want to especially thank Community Healthcare for becoming the presenting sponsor of the video coverage of high school basketball going into the tournament right now. I think everybody wins on this one.
Absolutely. Ball is always going to be number 1 in this area of the state, and we go a little bit into the Illinois side with our listenership, and viewership is all over the world. And it's going to be a lot of fun, 3 different sites for us. Sam's going to be at Hammond Civic Center. You'll be at Lake Central High School. I'll be at Whiting Memorial Gymnasium.
And I'll tell you what, it's Sam, you going to join us or what? Yeah. Part of it is, guys, is that we finally got the 3 guys here that can do it. As Larry Simano said yesterday, he was giving me crap about he's like, oh, you're going to come out of retirement to do the Lake Central sectional, and I am. I'm going to go out there, and right now I'm scheduled to do all of the games there. And in conjunction with that, all of my broadcasting students here at Sports Broadcasting, we're trying to really kind of get some momentum for a sports broadcasting and sports management department here at Purdue Northwest. There's a lot of jobs in that stuff, so we can get some students in that. But I've got 10 sports broadcasting students, and they're all going to be at the sectionals helping out. and then they're going to be announcing some on Fridays and Saturdays. But we've got Sam Michael. Sam, how you doing?
Pretty good.
And Ryan Walsh and myself. And I'm pretty proud. I think we're going to have some pretty high-level announcing and some pretty high-level camera work with Jimmy Mullaney leading one crew at Whiting, and Christina Cortez will be leading another crew at Hammond High with Sam, or at Hammond Civic Center. And then I will have Ben Cowart, who is the head video guy for Purdue Northwest. And Ben and I have worked together quite a bit, and we're going to be running the crew out at Lake Central. You think you guys are a little worried about this?
No.
I am. I've just been around so long, man. It's just, I hope it all comes off. We're all going, I think Jimmy went out to Whiting, and I'm going out to Lake Central today. Have you guys been out there? I think Christina has going out to Hammond Civic Center. I talked to Donna Mute. I think we'll be okay at the Civic Center. So it's a lot of work, guys, but shows that the world's changing. We found out in a hurry that that people want these games on their phones. It's pretty easy to figure that right away.
And people that work in the office at night, they want them on their computers as well. It's not just phones, it's iPads, it's computers. And people are doing it on the video. We've got the TuneIn app in addition to the radio. Many ways to get to our broadcast.
Brian, you did an excellent game by yourself. Last minute, Dan Repe was not able to make it. Dan's been donating his time here, and he's become quite the basketball color announcer on that. And you guys have a pretty good group going there. He was unable to do it. You had to go out and do the game by yourself. Typically, when it's a close game and there's a lot, you can kind of get away with that. You had that on Friday night, but really, some of the biggest action of the entire season happened in the last 5 or 6 seconds of Andre and Bishop Knoll. Tell people what happened.
Well, yeah, it was tied at overtime late in the game. Andre was going to hope for the last shot after Bishop Knoll did not score at the other end of the floor. And the couple seniors on the floor paved the way for that last second heave from James Hudson. Helfrich was on the floor, as James called in earlier. He's the one that passed on the ball. Curtis Jones had a big night. He actually scored the last 4 points of regulation and a basket in overtime to keep Andrain afloat. He was also on the floor, was setting screens on that possession to get James Hudson space. And nobody really thought he was going to shoot that shot. He was on one of his feet was on the line at the ring of center court. About 5 seconds on the clock is when he was starting to put it in motion, and then he fires up there, and it's a swoosh. I mean, just this
complete swish,
perfect
man.
shot. I mean, perfect form on the shot, and it went in. And he says he's practiced that a couple different times.
Hey, what do you think, Sam Michael? The one out of how many to swish one from 5 feet off a center court? One out of.
Well, what is normally the shot from there? I mean, if you're shooting from 3, a great shooter's 40% from a regular 3-point shot. Most are going to be about 6 inches to a foot behind the arc. So if you're that far back, I think your percentage probably goes down at least 15%, right? You might make 1 out of 4 if you're a great shooter. If you're a great shooter.
From where he was, I got to give that even lower,
Yeah,
because then he had a
probably,
guy kind of in his face a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to give that about a 1 out of 8 or 1 out of 9. I got to give it about a 1 out of 12, 1 out of 13 to swish that and hit no rim.
And
that's just, if you're playing horse, it takes you 10 shots to hit that sometimes.
It was the game winner for the night, but it wasn't the best shot of the night. Brandon Scott had a 3/4 length of the floor buzzer beater at the end of the third quarter from about an extra 15, 20 feet from where James Hudson hit his shot.
You know, I got to tell you, it looked at times there that Bishop Knoll was going to put that game away.
Lost the game on fundamentals.
Yeah, and Dran just kept coming back. Got a chance those guys meet in a Whiting sectional final?
Hopefully.
I would like to see that again, although Gary Roosevelt might have something to say about that.
Well, we got a chance. I was talking with Peter, and he can be kind of a nerd about this stuff sometimes, and that's what you like in your partner, the guy who knows the background and stuff. And he was telling me, I'm in Florida. I'm like, all right, just let me get home and we'll talk about this. But he was texting me up a storm saying, talking about the brackets, the way they drew. And he said, hey, we had a chance. We could get some pretty good rivalries in these games. We could get Valpo-Chesterton in the championship. We could get Munster-Highland, which would kind of not be that much of a long shot. Highland has to beat Morton and EC is kind of struggling, but it's Highland, so you never know. We could get Griffith and Hammond, which would be probably the rivalry right now, besides what we could get in the 2A, which is what we just saw Friday night, Andre and Bishop Knoll. So for us, that's dream scenario. But we would probably be lucky if we get 2 of those games to happen the way we, like you said, we've been around, we know how it works. And so often best laid plans for coaches, for players, and broadcasters don't seem to always be just the case. So the good news is, though, there's so much parity that I was going through the brackets, and even if they're not championship games, we're going to get a lot of good games throughout the entire tournament, and we're not just kind of hanging our hat on, oh, God, I hope it comes to this in the championship. If it doesn't, it's going to be terrible, because there are some good scenarios all the way through that for all the sectionals. All 4 we're going to be at.
Ryan, Sam brings something up. I think some of the longtime fans around here are bemoaning the fact that we really don't have anybody rated right now. And I've had a couple of AP guys. We hold one of the 14 AP votes here, and I've had a vote for about 10 years on the AP poll. And I got to be honest with people and say, hey, man, you got anybody that needs to be up high in these polls? And you know what? A lot of times I will hype us up, and then this year I go, man, we got a lot of really good teams that are going to provide a lot of parity when it comes to sectional. But do we have that astounding team at any level? I don't think we do. But that's kind of the negative. We don't have that 1 or 2 really tough team. But on the other side, that could mean that all the sectionals this year are wide open. Every one of the 4 that we're going in conjunction with Region Sports, you could make a case for at least 3 teams in each one of those sectionals as a legitimate favorite.
And in the past, you could look at when I was here in 2009, 2010, 2011, Lou Walsh is going to win their sectional. That's 3A.
Munster was always going to win. Munster was winning the 4A.
And then there was a 2 or 3 year stretch with Glenn Robinson and Tyler Weidman that Lake Central was the favorite to win it, and they did win them. Griffith had a 3-year run with the Murphy twins and Anthony Harris. Andrean has had a pretty successful run. They used to be down in the, I think it was Key Valley or Rensselaer Central sectional. That was a given that they would be in it and they would win it. Bishop Knoll has a strong run in 2A for their sectional.
Now all those teams are in the hunt on every one of their sectionals that you mentioned, but they have, they're not head and shoulders above. All right, let's do it right now. Which one's best sectional?
Overall, I like the LC sectional the best. I mean, as far as definite game in and game out, because I mean this in complete honesty. The only team that probably can't win it, and even they could, because they can still beat some teams who I think can win it. So it's kind of a weird thing where...
You were going to say Lowell, weren't you?
I was going to say Morton.
Morton's got some players.
They do, but there's some interesting things going on with them right now, and they've had a tough season with losing their head coach, and they have a bad tendency not to play fundamental basketball, and if you can't play fundamental basketball, you can't win 3 games in a row, to me. You can't win 3 games in a row. You cannot beat Highland and then beat EC and then beat either a Munster or a Lake Central. You really probably can't do it. The consistency isn't there. I did Lowell, East Chicago Central before I left on the 17th. I refereed that game, and Lowell looked as good as any team I've seen all year. They were dominant. They just took it to East Chicago, beat them by 25. And I was shocked. I mean, John Harrell had it as a 1-point East Chicago favorite on the website, and that was not the case. EC can still play a little bit, but again, they kind of don't have the consistency. What's going to help them is they only have to win 2 games, right? They got to bye, just got to win 2. So I think really anybody can. That's why I think it's the best.
Ryan, I got to go. I'm doing the Lake Central sectional. Kuziak and Pagatti will be with me, and but I got to look to your sectional, the Whiting sectional, is probably the best games of any of the sectionals, and that starts out on Tuesday with what is that? That's Bishop Knoll and River Forest, a tough River Forest. That's not a given for Bishop Knoll. And then you got Roosevelt and Lake Station. Lake Station playing well also. So you got 2 really good games on Tuesday. And then Whiting's probably down. They may be the weakest team in there. They're playing at home. They could possibly be getting Bishop Knoll on Friday, and then Andrean would maybe have Roosevelt or even Lake Station. Those are 2 great games on Friday night. And then, of course, the championship is wide open. We have done so many sectionals here, and I'm going back to the 80s when I first did my first sectional, announced my first sectional with Mike Farkas in 1985, where you get a decent Tuesday and a decent Wednesday, and a decent Friday. And then you got crappy sectional finals everywhere you go. The big team has made it, and they're beating up on somebody, and you got 30-point wins. I think last year or 2 years ago, we had 30-point wins on all of our sectionals. I don't see that happening this year.
No, not at Whiting. As you mentioned, it's a great sectional, and it's going to get even better. Next year, Bowen Academy gets back into postseason play after their 2-year no postseason probation. So that's going to be even better next year. But, yeah, that's going to be a great final. Likely Bishop Knoll and either Lake Station, Roosevelt, or Range Rain, all three can give a good fight.
All right, anything else on sports, Ryan?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Got a lot to cover.
All right, can you cover that? And I am going to be right back in just a moment.
Yeah, this sports update is brought to you by Johnny's Tap, 8050 Cayman Avenue in Munster. Yesterday on WJOB, a Big Ten doubleheader, Michigan State wins the conference outright with a 68-63 victory in Madison. Purdue blows out Minnesota 84-60. Dakota Mathias goes off for 25 points in his last game at Mackey Arena. Purdue is the 3 seed and will face the winner of the 6 versus 11 or 14 game on Friday evening at 8 p.m. Indiana is the 6th seed. They play the winner of the 11-14 game at 8 o'clock on Thursday, and the 11th seed is Minnesota. The 14th seed is Rutgers. The 2018 Winter Olympics are over from Pyeongchang, and Norway has the most medals, 39, Germany 31, Canada 29 for the top 3 nations with medals. USA finished 4th overall with 23 medals. 2020 Summer Olympics are in Tokyo, and the 2022 Winter Olympics are in Beijing. Tonight at 6 p.m., NCAA Insiders, it'll be John Picotti and myself, will preview the Big Ten tournament and a couple other mid-major conference tournaments that are taking place this week. We'll discuss the wiretap and receipts scandal that has come across the NCAA over the last couple of days. Your thoughts on that, Sam?
Not good. I mean, there's so many negative aspects to that, and a lot of teams involved, and you just have to be careful if you're a fan and if you're a coach, if you're a potential player, and I mean anybody who's involved in this. There's going to be so much blame that goes around now, and I mean you watch it as IU fans ourselves. You hear some whispers now that Chuck Martin, who I believe was only a 1-year assistant, right? That was Crean's last year, or was he his last 2? Okay,
2 or 3.
So he was only there right at the tail end. I mean, what did Tom Crean know? He could have known everything. What did anybody else on the staff know? Was Chuck Martin a rogue assistant? Was he trying to do stuff on his own? Just maybe he was in charge of the player named, which was Brian Bowen, who has been in plenty of controversy, right? He was the guy, if folks forget, who was at Louisville, was kind of the star of the show, really, of the Louisville scandal, was not allowed to play this year because of everything going on. So Chuck Martin was potentially recruiting him, and did it implicate Indiana? We'll find out. Archie Miller's brother, Sean
Miller.
In big
I
trouble.
got to talk about that. They say they got a wiretap of him saying
he says he's innocent, though. How about that?
Directing $100,000 bribe to a family just so the guy will come. This, Sam was on vacation, and so he had nothing else to do, so he was hitting my phone up, and we were going back and forth pretty heavily. I think this just kind of shows you that at some point we have to start remunerating the athletes one way or another for making all this money for other people, because these kind of scandals, when all this money's flying around, everyone's getting it except the people providing the product. That's not America. That's not the free enterprise system.
Yeah, and I agree with that point, but I think the biggest thing that I keep thinking about is then all of a sudden you open up that box of that can of worms, right? And folks who now are getting some are going to maybe want more. Is a guy who was going to, how do you really police it, right? Do you say you can only make this amount of money? And even if you cap it and you put like a salary cap on colleges, you can only spend like baseball, right? You have international spending bonuses you can spend on players. So you tell colleges you can only spend $10 million a year on your roster. And that's what you tell them. Now all of a sudden, well, this little player over here wanted $25,000 a year or something. That's low, but let's just say that. And now he said, no, I could have got $40,000 from Duke, but Roy Williams wants me to come to Carolina because he's only got $25,000 left to spend. Well, then Roy says, hey, we'll give you the 25, but then we'll give you another 20 underneath the table. I just don't think it's going to stop that stuff.
Yeah, I understand that part of it, but I also believe that the only way that you can fix a problem is to admit that there is a problem.
Oh, there is. Yeah.
And so if the right people get around a table and they start saying, hey, what are we going to do here? What are the solutions? We could throw stuff out. What about this solution? What about that solution? That's not how this is done. You get the right people in a room and they synthesize a solution so that in America, when you work, you get paid. Okay, and you can't just say, oh, you're giving your education, because in some cases they're going to state schools. They're not really even getting anything. And the issue here is that, do you get a day's pay for a day's work? And does it start at 18, or do you got to wait till you're 22 and you're out of college? Really, the universities don't want to change the system. The high-paid administrators, they don't want to change the system. All the people that are in the system don't want that to change because they get free labor basically from these kids. And the advertisers, they don't want to change it because then it's going to cost them more to put the product on. And the broadcasting companies, nobody wants to change that, and nobody is speaking for what is right here. Finally, Jay Billis, he's the only one who's been saying this from the beginning.
Yeah, you're right about that. But let me ask you, if you pay the athletes, do you still make them go to class?
There's another question there. I don't know what they are. I'm telling you right now, I don't have an answer to all of that. But I'll tell you right now, I brought this up 4 years ago when Purdue played VCU over here at United Center, and I went and sat right behind Painter's bench, and we had the media tickets, and I go, all right, I'm going to go up there and watch it. And they lost to VCU. They beat somebody the first night. And I'm like, all these people, all these suites, all this money, they gave us the food we got was amazing. It was like a 5-star restaurant. And all these people making money. NBC had the contract, I believe, that year. And I couldn't take any video. And the 3 security guards came down running at me because I was taking a little video at the courtside. And, no video in here. We got all this money. And all of these ads in the stadium and people paying outside. We're paying $200 to $400 a ticket to sit way up top. Yet none of those kids that came out on that floor got any money in that. Some of them graduated and they got PE jobs.
Yeah, the biggest problem is they've taken what was supposed to be amateur athletes and guys who are striving to be professional, and they've made every aspect but the athletes professional. The coaches now, you don't have to look at the suites. You don't have to look at the food. All that stuff is just extra. All you have to do is look at what Matt Painter's wearing. You just look at his suit. You look at his hair slicked back. You look at Jay Wright and the nice clothes they're able to afford because
Steve Lavin.
Yeah, they're making millions of dollars, and they can. You get guys like Brad Stevens who went to the NBA, and the only difference between the two, literally, the only difference is you don't have to recruit if you go to the NBA. A lot of guys now are saying, I don't want to go to the NBA. I think it's more headache there, and some say vice versa. The debate's there, but the main thing is, why go? Because you're still going to make the same amount of money to coach in college. You're going to make $3 million at least.
Brian Walsh and John Pagatti will be talking about this tonight. I believe John Pagatti is the head basketball coach of South Suburban College for the last 11 years. One of the most winningest junior college basketball coaches ever. And he and Ryan have been doing a show for many years. I got to believe Pagatti's just raring to go on this topic.
Oh, yeah. I've gotten dozens of messages from him and Casey from Las Vegas.
What time does that show start tonight?
It's 6 to 7:30 tonight.
All right, 6 to 7:30 tonight. I'm telling you right now, you guys could go watch ESPN. You could go watch Big Ten Network. You will not find a more higher quality radio/video show than what Ryan Walsh and John Pagatti bring. Any special guests tonight?
Not as of right now.
Okay, Ryan, anything else? Johnny's Tap, huh?
Tonight at Johnny's Tap, it's Mix It Monday. Texas Hold'em starts at 7 p.m.
All right, there it is, guys. Billy Baker up next.
Need a ride? Call Dial-A-Ride, 932-2530, then hit number 4 on your telephone. Dial-A-Ride is free public transportation for North Township residents, sponsored by Frank J. Mervan, North Township trustee. Rides available weekdays 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. Dispatch call center open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Accessible vehicles available. To schedule a ride, call 932-2530, then press number 4. Dial-A-Ride service and this message, sponsored by Frank J. Mervan, North Township trustee.
I want to be like the pretty people on my TV.
Now you can.
All I need are gleaming white teeth.
We can help you.
Can you find the right dentist for me?
Dr. Andy Coulteritis, he does cosmetic dental.
Will he hurt me?
No, he's gentle.
I'm terrified of pain.
He's the kindest in the land.
He sounds great. Could you repeat his name?
Dr. Andy Coulteritis, 219-836-1111.
Thanks.
Not only does Catering by Steve's cater for all occasions, Steve's
Steve's in Hegewisch has expanded their all-you-can-eat Lenten fish fry on Fridays from 11:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. during Lent. Don't forget trivia every Friday as well. Stop in for some delicious Lenten specials and sample our large selection of craft beers. We also have banquet rooms for your special occasion. Bring your family to enjoy our Easter Sunday brunch on Sunday, April 1st. Call 773-646-1071 to make your reservation. See all we have to offer at cateringbysteve.com, serving the Calumet region since 1958.
When you're in the dark, where do you turn to find a trusted professional who can assure the safety of your home or business electrical system? Certified Electrician is here to help. Looking for a highly skilled electrical contractor for your next construction project? CertifiedElectrician.com is where to find one. We connect you with pre-screened electrical professionals living right here in Northwest Indiana. Experts in residential, commercial, voice data video, and signage. Certified Electrician can fulfill all your electrical needs. Visit CertifiedElectrician.com.
Theo's Steak and Seafood sets the standard of fine dining excellence. Delicious USDA prime meats and steaks, along with the freshest seafood in the area. Celebrate your special event with friends, family, and associates in our private dining room that can seat up to 125 people. For information, call 838-8000 or theoshighland.com. Also visit our other restaurants, Prime Steakhouse, Umi Sushi and Lounge in Crown Point, and Ted's Family Restaurant in Calumet City.
Morning, everybody. AM 1230, WJOB on 104.7 FM. My name's Jim Dietlow. I'm a host of JED in the region. 3 radio, 3 video, AM, FM, and TuneIn radio app. And then, of course, you can watch on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Don't forget, all week long, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday night, it's going to be just jammed, packed with both here on the radio and on our Facebook Live feed to have high school sectional basketball in video. I cut a deal with the IHSAA, and we're going to push it forward and get these games out there. Thanks a lot to Community Healthcare for signing up as a presenting sponsor. And let's take a look at Traffic 290. Don't forget also, we have the Big Ten tournament all week long, too. So should be a big, crazy week on the radio. Not all of the sectional games are going to make it to the radio because we got to call it. We at least got to get the Purdue and IU Big Ten games on. 294 around the city, bad from Cicero on up to the Stevenson. 80 going east-west has a little bit of slow spot by LaGrange Road, but other than that, you're moving well. The Bishop Fort, Dan Ryan, lighter than normal. Skyway Toll Road, Borman I-65. Beautiful out, beautiful traffic. You can see that the merge is a little bit from Bishop Ford to Dan Ryan, but I don't know if I would necessarily go pay the money right now. Traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda. High of 53 degrees today, 58 tomorrow, and 53 on Wednesday. Right now it's 25 degrees here at the Vac and Strantill Studios on the campus of New Newport West. And it is 26 degrees at Ironworkers Local 395. And that's in Portage, and Local 14 of the Laborers Union in Munster, it is 26 degrees also. Alexis and I did a nice walk around Wicker Park yesterday and saw the very first real golfer walking out there onto the putting green there and chipping around, and then he took a 7-iron and played it. Looked like a guy must have played one hole out. Billy Baker's a big golfer. It's almost that time, Baker.
Giddy up.
Oh, stop. Don't say that. Giddy up, giddy up, giddy up.
Hey, it's been a bunch of years now since Preacher's passed. Everything that was going on last week, Ryan did a good job. He played some of Preacher's old stuff. The man made me laugh. Still does. I missed that guy.
Let's talk about Preacher on the golf course. You know what? And, I'm not a great golfer, but I like the game, and I was playing pretty well around then. And Preacher would just want a shot. Hey, Jed, I want to take you out, and I want to bet. I'm like, all right. And then he would just get down, and then he would just double up on his bets, and then he'd get further down. Then he'd get down emotionally, and then next thing you know, you're on the 18th tee, and he's like, all right, I'll get you later. Yeah, of course, yeah.
That was your story?
You know what? I had to leave a couple places. You know what? I started to tell the story, and then I realized I can't tell
that story.
I can't tell the good parts of it. So
yeah, great radio.
Yeah,
Once you say it backwards, that'll be entertaining.
Billy Baker's in the house. Let's just take a couple of phone calls, and then before we get to just joshing around, Bill Baker is the head of the board of the Little Cal Commission. He's been a busy guy the last few days, and so has Dan Repay. So we'll get a little overview of that. But first, let's talk to Bob from Hessville. Hey, Bob, what are you doing today?
Not too much, Jed. How about yourself?
All right, man. What's going on?
I just wanted to call to congratulate Harding Elementary School's Team 3A and they're taking second place of the team trophy for their chess tournament on Sunday.
You know, Harding is a very good chess school. And do you have a grandkid there, or what do you got?
Yeah, my grandson plays chess over at Harding. He went to state earlier in the year, and their team brought home a bunch of individual trophies also. So I'm very proud of that little man.
All right, man. Does he practice a lot?
Oh yeah, he practices with his dad a lot.
What about Grandpa, Bob? Could he beat Grandpa?
Grandpa couldn't play. Grandpa doesn't even know the name of the chess pieces.
Hey, Grandpa, I think you got a little homework to do so that you can play chess with your grandkid, all right? Put it this way. He's got your DNA in him, so you could figure it out, right?
Oh, he's trying to teach me, but it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks.
Hey, can we do something here? Can we Facebook Live your grandkid trying to teach you how to play chess?
That'd be something for America's Funniest Home Video.
You know what? I want to see that myself. So keep us updated on how the lessons go, okay?
Will do, Jed.
Talk to you. Grandpa, you can't move it that way.
It's not checkers.
What do you mean you can't move it that way? What do you mean you just jumped over that one? How'd you do that? What do you mean that queen goes both ways? What is she? Well, I won't even go there. Billy Baker's in the house. Hey, quick update on the rains last week, man. The river held, the Hart Ditch held. I'll tell you what I think happened,
That was
Bill.
stressful, Jimmy.
I think people realized how much of the concern has to move over to Hart Ditch now.
Well, this is, big picture. Let me take a step back. And, I've been on this thing since the flood in 2008, and I have to take the first shot and, thank all the public works folks and all the, the guys and ladies that work for the individual municipalities, because we set this thing up way back before we had any money to be a facilitator with the local municipalities to help in their communities and be engaged and be the frontline people instead of creating another level of government in Lake County. And at least this last event, the plan was put into place. Dan doesn't like compliments, but he executed that thing very well. And, people have respect for him in the community, and he's honest, and it's about solving problems. And, we're dealing with Mother Nature here. It's going to be a challenge at some point, but, at least last week we were able to avoid some scary stuff.
And one of the things that happened was, I related to people last week who went out to the sandbagging along Hart Ditch because my brother-in-law and my sister were all over me. And I went out there, Billy, and for the very first time, I was scared at a body of water in northwest Indiana, and I could describe how much water was coming down Hart Ditch in this massive, massive river, and it was going at a rate that I just couldn't even comprehend. In other words, I had leaned over to look at it, and my brother-in-law, Mark Forsythe, grabbed me and pulled me back, and he's like, dude, you realize that if you fell in there right now, you're dead. You're just dead. There's no way. It's like falling into Snake River Canyon Rapids. And it just highlighted to me the amount of water that is coming down to that little Calumet River.
And it is. And that particular location, Hart Ditch, and for those who don't know where that is, it's, basically right next to Wicker Park and runs south all the way to the state line past the hospital south of 30. But there's a lot of homes and there's a lot of people that live there. So that's the most densely populated portion or segment of the river. But, you know, the federal flood control project is basically the Little Cal River, which is the drain, if you will. The important thing I have to point out there, this thing has been going on for a long time, even before my involvement after the flood in 2008. But there's places based on having this volume of water, there's places along that system that are designed specifically to take on water. They flood. They're designed to take on water. They're called flow easements. So sometimes, you know, people are driving around and say, hey, you know, Bill, there's water over there. I go, well, there's some places in the system that are designed when we have that kind of capacity, they're supposed to take on water because we want that water, or the water is designed to go to those locations as opposed to people's basements or the streets. So, but, you know, we talk about it every month. This is a man-made project, and if you don't do the maintenance, you know, take care of the debris, and you don't, you know, make sure it does what it's supposed to do, it'll fail. And this was one of those deals similar, like in 2008. It was almost the perfect storm. And knock wood, I think we were blessed to, you know, we had some issues, but for the most part, it worked out the way we had, the way it was designed, and the way we put the plan into place. And you know, we closed some locations. That it's just part of how we want to make sure we protect the community.
The real issue here is that over the years, more water's coming up to the Little Cal. I don't want to go into the development issue and that we've developed all of South County and all the water comes up here because the ground can't absorb it. But there's one man that knows more about any of this than anybody else in the whole county, and that is Mr. Ron Hunter. My high school, my Little League coach, and I've known him and his two sons, Keith and Mark. Mark is, if you look at that $5 billion renovation of BP, Mark Hunter's name is all over that. So Ron Hunter sent me this, and I'm going to read it to you guys. It's a little geeked out because he's a geek from Purdue, but here we go. Jim, the USGS reported peak flow rate behind my house is 2330 cubic feet times second. 7.4, it comes out to over 1 million gallons a minute going behind his house. This means that each one of the largest BP storage tanks in Whiting of 2 million gallons could be filled up in 1.9 minutes. And that isn't even the highest rate. If you take it further down Hart Ditch, where it was 50% higher, they could fill that same 2,000-gallon BP storage tank in 1.3 minutes. The volume of water flowing into the Little Calumet River from Illinois, Dyer, Cherville, Highland, and Munster is really incredible for such a small stream to handle within its now confined banks. Billy, it's starting to scare me a little bit coming from South County. And you know what? When Ron Hunter puts Ron Hunter puts numbers on it, then it's real.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to be, you know, cry wolf or, you know, do the sky's falling type of a thing, but it's something to pay attention to. And, you know, when it's sunny and, you know, it's all nice out and the birds are chirping, I mean, that's not, you know, something people are paying attention to. But last week, people paid attention to it. So, you know, it's one of those things. And, you know, I'm from the region. I get it. I mean, if that was a challenge and some things happened last week, they would blame me. And, you know, I get it. I mean, there's no upside to this. The way I look at it, I'm not taking any credit for anything from the standpoint of it's almost like what we talk about with athletes in sports. You know, they make a play and they do what they're supposed to do. They shouldn't be jumping around talking about how great they are, putting their name everywhere and doing all this kind of stuff. That's what they're there to do. And that's, I think, how we look at doing this. That's why we're there. But if that thing fails or there's more than, 5 gallons going into our 5-gallon bucket and it goes over somewhere, they're going to blame us, whether it's our fault or not. I understand that. And, you know, this still is politics because there's tax dollars involved. So, we're walking around with a bullseye on it. But for the groups that are involved and all the individuals all the way down to the guys, excuse me, helping with the sandbags and the events and doing the maintenance, I'm pretty proud of where we are. I can say that, you know, as my tenure ends, it's going to be a lot better than how I found it.
209-845-1100. Baker's here. I told you we would hit the river because we have to. And then we'll just mess around for like 10 or 15 minutes. Hey, Chuck, how are you, buddy?
Hey, morning, guys. Hey, you guys kind of already covered where I was going with this, but I definitely want to say that there was a huge increase in sort of the seriousness that people took this event, and then also the organized response. You know, I was there literally as it happened in 2008, and I was there as much as I could this last time, and there definitely was a more, organized response, and definitely people are taking it more seriously, which, the people in the neighborhoods definitely appreciate all the hard work that everybody's putting in. But I guess my question, Bill, is, so we fixed the issues at Hammond and Munster, and then now it sort of seems like we may have pushed that issue into sort of Lake Station. So I guess the question is this something, going to Jim's point about, basically paving over South County, is this something that we're always going to be chasing this, where now we have to look at possible remediation in Lake Station, and then maybe you're pushing it to a different, it's one of those demons you're always chasing, or, obviously we can't afford to embark on some sort of a deep tunnel project in the region, but, is there any discussion about another longer-term solution to this?
That's a good question. And fixing problems, that's kind of tough, Chuck. And I look at it more from the standpoint of it's a system. And there was decades of deferred maintenance. There just wasn't stuff done. To the specific example at Lake Station, Lake Station is at what we call the confluence. It's where Deep River, and that's like the heart ditch for East County. That takes water all the way down to Crown Point, Winfield. All that runoff from that part of the county comes through downtown Hobart and into Lake Station. So there's a lot of water that rushes to the same point where all the water from the Little Cal is. That is a primary big money deal that we're trying to come up with some solutions and how to handle that, because just to exacerbate the challenge, and the guys on the commission understand this, and the folks that go to the meeting, I kind of get worked up about it, because that is a huge intersection of a lot of water right at a huge intersection of two major interstates. So you have that whole issue going on. And then let's not keep in mind the real big picture. Jimmy makes fun of me when I talk about 30,000 feet, but this is kind of how that perspective helps solve big problems, is that we're now pushing that further east into basically a onion ditch before it heads out to Burns Waterway to make it to the lake. So this thing isn't close to being done or resolved. I'm sure not going to be the one, at least during my tenure, that says, this thing is all fixed, it's good to go. I'm of the opinion it's never going to be fixed, because if you don't take care of it, it's going to have an event similar to what we saw in 2008, which hopefully none of us ever has to experience again.
Right, absolutely. Well, again, good to everyone.
Hey, Chuck, it really is the unspoken 800-pound gorilla in the room that no one wants to talk about. And that is, it's a question that no one wants to ask, but is at some point, do we have to put restrictions on development along the watershed because we just can't take more water? And that would be a disaster, because there's a lot of really good high-level development coming in, especially in mid to South County, that we need around here. And I would hate to see it come to that.
Well, you know me, I'm always going to lean towards technology. And obviously there's technology now. You've got permeable asphalt. You've got a lot of technology out there. And maybe, again, this is an opportunity for us to be, on the forefront of that and start using more permeable asphalt, start looking at other solutions where we can use new technology to solve those problems.
All right, man. There's the beginning of that discussion. Dave from Gary, stay where you're at. We'll be right back.
Do you have a family history of heart disease or diabetes? St. Catherine Hospital Cardiovascular Prevention Center providers are offering free assessments to help determine your risk for heart disease and other related medical conditions. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 9 to 11:30 a.m., you can stop by the center at 7217 Indianapolis Boulevard in Hammond for assessments like an ABI leg circulation test, blood pressure, body mass index, random glucose assessment, and more. You must be 18 or older, and walk-ins are welcome. You have only one body. Let St. Catherine Hospital of Community Healthcare System help you take care of it. You can also call 219-392-7CVP to book an appointment today.
Ogren Insurance has been serving the area since 1947 and provides insurance for life, home, auto, business, and more. If you're looking for one-on-one service, the best rates, knowledge, and experience, Ogren Insurance is your agency. Our number one goal is to provide you with the coverage you need at the most competitive price. To learn about the insurance solutions and services we offer in Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, call 219-933-0076 or see our website, ogreninsurance.com. Ogren Insurance, 6929 Holman Avenue in Hammond. Accidents happen. Be protected with Ogren Insurance.
Do you have or are you at high risk for cardiovascular disease, also known as CVD or heart disease? Are you unable to take statin medications due to side effects? You may be eligible for a clinical research study being conducted to test the safety and effectiveness of an investigational medication that may help to reduce the occurrence of major CVD events, such as heart attacks and strokes, for patients with or at risk for CVD who are also statin intolerant. To qualify, you must be at least 18 years of age, have a history of or at high risk for CVD, have not been able to tolerate 2 or more statins, and meet additional study criteria. Qualified participants will receive all study medication and study-related care from a dedicated team of medical staff at no cost. Health insurance is not required to participate. To find out more and to see if you qualify, call Cardiovascular Research of Northwest Indiana, LLC at 219-203-1990. That's 219-203-1990. Call now. 219-203-1990.
745 in the Calumet region. Once again, want to thank a lot of people have been signing up lately, and we know exactly why that is that is our foray into streaming video. Right now, you can watch us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube right now, and go there. Also on AM and FM and on Tune Radio. So 3 radio, 3 video. And it all comes there. Hey, what do we have in terms of traffic? 294 around the city. Starting to get heavy from Cicero on up to 55. Allow extra time to O'Hare. 80 going at westbound has an accident right past LaGrange Road, right around LaGrange Road. That's starting to back you up coming out. Really, it's not so bad on the Bishop Ford. Southern end of the Dan Ryan's a little bit heavy, but it's not even that bad going into Jane Burn, so it's been worse. You'll have some stop and goes in like 3 or 4 spots, but most of the Bishop Ford is wide open. Skyway Toll Road, Barman, I-65, US 30, Klein Avenue are all moving along pretty well. Traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda. Beautiful day, my friends, coming our way. 25 degrees right now here at the Strachan Van Til Studios, going up to 53. Actually, I'm sorry, it's 28 degrees now, and it's going up to 53 tomorrow, high of 58, and then Wednesday, high of 53. We should see some sun on almost all of those days. Billy Baker, a lot of people came out, especially police and fire, to the Haven House fundraiser on Saturday night. Baker and I made an appearance, and one of the guys hurt his knee pretty bad.
Those bowling injuries, you got to watch out for those.
Yeah, but police and fire came out, and they sold out all the lanes, and a lot of folks came out to write some checks. So I want to thank everybody who came out for that fundraiser. Dave from Geary is actually one of the organizers of that. Dave, you had to be excited about the turnout.
Very. Thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate your support. And if the vast listeners of WJOB would ever wonder how you guys are away from the radio, you're exactly the same in public as you are on the radio. So maybe even a little worse. You're a little less inhibited. So it was a pleasure spending that 5 minutes with you two, and just listen to you guys makes my face hurt because you guys just make me laugh. So.
Well, we got the serious part about the river out, and so we had a couple of other things to talk about, and it's kind of serious there too about raising money for domestic violence. But it was also kind of cool to see all the police and fire that came out. Man, you really got a thing going there. These guys
a lot of rivalry. Yeah, now we have Highland first responders. They had police and fire and vets there against Highland police, and of course the Lake County Sheriff Police, who retained the trophy against Hammond Fire and East Chicago Fire, and it was just a really cool event to have everyone out there, and everyone had a good time. And yeah, that guy did. He first game, 4th frame, absolutely blew his knee out. and they took him away in a stretcher. But you know what? Would you rather blow your knee out? I mean, I wouldn't want to blow my knee out any other place than right there because you had so many firemen and EMTs and everybody. He got taken care of really well, and I think while he was on the stretcher, he might have even had a beer in his hand on the way out, so that was kind of cool.
That's
Nice.
region right there.
Nice.
Here you go, a little something for
you know
the
what?
road.
His knee's blown out, and he's in the ambulance is there, and he's like, I still had a half a Coors Light over there. You mind handing me that thing?
Grab me a piece of pizza too.
Dead soldiers later.
Two chicken wings there and a piece of pizza. Can you throw that on a paper plate for me?
He's like, hey, I'm a first responder. I know the food's gonna suck at that hospital, so give me those wings over there, will you? Hey,
we did really well with all the gifts, that we received from Lowe's, Raimundo, and Karen from El Taco Real, and just Serendipity has that really cool margarita fiesta basket, and just so many other gifts. WJOB, a couple of tickets to the venue. So thank you always for your support. And it was a fun night, and we put a dent. We put a dent in it. We raised a few bucks, but a couple things. 16 minutes from I-65 to 394 westbound 8094, wide open, beautiful. And Billy, I think you called it when Chuck said the problem is solved. I think you're right in regards to it's a constant work in progress. It's so much better because we didn't lose any homes, right? But I don't think the problem's fixed when you have to close Kennedy Avenue, Northcott, and Columbia. It's the problem's not fixed, but it's
no, and we're trying to prove it, David.
I mean, 10 years to make up for 50 years of neglect. I think you and the board and all the municipalities and did a hell of a job. And thanks for keeping the homes safe. And it's a work in progress, and I think people get that now. And don't forget the people downstream. It took 4 or 5 days for all that water to get to Jasper County, and as of even Friday and Saturday, they were evacuating people in Jasper. So, water seeks its own level, and it's a tough monster to put in a bottle. So, good job again, and I'm just I have to get to work and make some donuts. So great seeing you guys again. Always appreciate the support for Haven House. Raise a lot of money, and keep up the good work, Jed, with the station.
All right, man.
The one voice in the region that anyone could call in and voice their opinion. And Billy with the river and what you do in Porter County. Just keep up the good work.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Baker and I did get to sit at the counter there, and people were coming up and buying drinks, and some of them were elected officials, and we got to talk to the sheriff for a while. Oscar Martinez was there.
Hey, Sheriff.
Hey, Sheriff.
I think he's listening going, I wonder what those two idiots are going to talk about.
Well, we were just joking. Come on. And we're like, well, how does this come about where Jackie Sutton, and then we're at Plaza Lanes, and I'm like, yell everybody who came up to buy a drink, and Baker and I are just sitting there and like, hey, are you Jackie Sutton? Are you Jackie Sutton? Jackie Sutton, of course, is the nom de plume of somebody here in Lake County that has put up a Facebook account, and they're just saying some awful things about certain politicians, and we don't know who it is, but there might be an investigation into who it is, and we had some fun with that.
But we talked about that, too, because remember when the Times, way back in the day, we used to let people post to every article that they put on there. And
they had to get rid of it.
Oh, yeah, because it was nasty from that standpoint, too. So, the laws, I don't think, catch up, obviously, to technology because it's government. So they're, a day late and a dollar short. So, I mean, it's going to take a while for that to go and how you can do that. And it'll be an interesting thing because that is a impact going into this election is what people post on social media. True or not true, they're posting it, and it looks like it's their right to do whatever they want. And it could have an impact on what goes on around here, good or bad.
Martinez is basically, and I'm not using anything that we talked about there except for one term. He said it's illegal to have a fake identity or a spurious identity, or I forget what the word was.
Yeah, well, good luck trying to figure out what that is with a bunch of people sitting in their basement trying to do all that stuff off of IP addresses. Now, when you start tracking IP addresses, and Chuck and a lot of people out there are far more versed in this than I, but that's starting to get into some dicey areas
Privacy
from the law.
issues.
Yeah. So, because of course nobody would ever use it for malicious purposes, especially in Lake County. We would never know anybody going to the computer just for their own self-benefit. Are you kidding?
So what I understand is like the sheriffs did an investigation on it, and it would have been the Lake County prosecutor who would have done any subpoena on IP addresses and so forth. But all of this is evidently, according to the sheriff, is that it's illegal to have a fake identity and put that out in the public. So in Indiana. So you got to prosecute the law, but
so JED no longer is something you could use, because that's not a.
No, I was thinking that maybe, I would start using some other identities. I like the name Herbie Pudlow.
Hi, Herbie Pudlow. Damn glad to meet you.
Exactly.
Schmedley. I think Schmedley is a better one.
I want to be Herbie Pudlow, Schmedley. Preacher used to do this guy. Big Chuck, by the way. Preacher used to do, and he'd say, Schmedley, come here, Schmedley this. And it was kind of like a fake guy that he made up, right?
Yeah, because he had no help. He was a one-man show.
He was a one-man show.
It's not like
there.
you, D-Lo, having like 5 guys helping you with your show, and you just talk to them. What are you doing?
I forgot.
You're on TV. I mean, you're like
my
scratching your
shirt this
chest hair,
morning.
weirdo.
I forgot to button my shirt. I was buttoning it now, and I just got the wrong. They're all mixed up. So one time I was in there, and Preacher was on the show, and he's doing, Schmedley this, Schmedley that, and I was back in the back office, and somebody's beating on the front door, boom, 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 and Preacher yells at me, hey, I think this guy won tickets. Can you run him out to him? So he hands me the tickets, and I run to the front door at the old station, and I open the door, and I go, hey, can I help you? And you know what the guy says to me? Hey, are you Schmedley? Am I Schmedley?
I'm sure you didn't laugh at that at all either. I think that's hilarious.
That is funny. I mean, even I thought it was funny. No, I go, no, I'm not Schmedley.
Don't you know who I am?
Hey, are you Schmedley? And anyways, I don't know where that came up. But, one of the things
Fake
that
identity, that's your new name.
We're talking about identities. Now, how many times in the past have we played the name game? How come there's no name games going on in the sheriff's race?
We got so much mileage out of that.
Wait a second.
Nobody thought it was funny except you and I.
Jackie Sutton, there's Jackie. I mean, the sheriff's race is really very entertaining at this point.
Oh.
I mean, you have Dave Dowling, and you have Oscar Martinez, and you have Rich Ligon, and you got Mike Brown. Those are kind of the big ones. But somebody there, Betty Dominguez, and we were trying to think about, possible name games that we could play.
Well, explain what the name game is. I mean, there's some people that don't follow this.
Well, you put a name
stuff
up there that is kind of similar to another name, so that it confuses people.
You trick the voters because they don't know who they're voting for. They're just looking at the name. Is that right?
Yeah, you put up a name.
Because 16% of the registered voters only show up. So, I mean, some of them show up just because they have to. They're not really engaged.
So we're trying to think of names. All right, let's think of somebody. All right, let's think of Dave Dowling. All right, first of all, you got to look at the racial lines, the way this is put together now. And if somebody put this together for me, and they said, really, you kind of have 3 Hispanics now. You've got Oscar Martinez, the existing sheriff. And then you've got Betty Dominguez, who is a wild card, came in on this. She's Filipino, though, but people don't really know that. And then you got this Maria Garcia Trajkovic, I think is her name. But she's wants to put her, maybe putting her maiden name in there. And then you got Mike Brown, Rich Ligon, and I think one other African-American guy, right? So then you got the one fully white guy in the middle. So
that's Dowling.
Dowling. So if you were one of the Hispanic sympathizers or you were one of the African-American sympathizers, perhaps you'd put in another one. And we got a few names that you might want to think about because you got Dave Dowling up there. How about Daffy Duck? How about Ducky Downing? Remember him? Daryl Dawkins. Dick Durbin and Dwayne Deedlow and Dave Dowling. That would confuse everybody. All right, here it is in the ballot. You go in there and it's like, I think I want to vote for that guy who's the Cherville police chief. But is he Daffy Duck, Ducky Downing, Daryl Dawkins, Dick Durbin, Dwayne Deedlow, or Dave Dowling? I can't remember now.
And what was your joke that you thought was so funny that I had to listen to 53 times?
I don't remember now. It's what's there? But
no, what do you call 3 Hispanic guys, 3 black guys, and a white guy
who walk into a bar? The sheriff's race. 3 Hispanics, 3 blacks, and 1 white guy walk into a bar. What is it? It's the sheriff's race.
Funniest guys we know.
3 Hispanics, 3 blacks, and a white guy walk into the bar. What is it?
We told that to who, Bobby Costa or Chris, and they looked at us like, what the hell's wrong with you two?
So what would you do for Betty Dominguez if you wanted to play name game? The closest I could get was just Betty Boop. Stops right there. Wait, is her name Betty Dominguez or Betty Boop? Which one is it? And for Oscar Martinez, that one's easy. Omar Martinez, Oscar Cartinez,
Oscar Sanchez,
because I confused that for like 5 years, those 2 guys together. So no one's playing that game, but they might be playing the racial game. So,
well, the other thing that we were laughing about, and you know, this is just real. I mean, the fact that we're talking about it on the radio is hilarious. But the other way, it's like, well, if you play the name game, I think everybody on every election should just be Mike Brown. So you have a list of 9 Mike Browns that are going to run for whatever office. You pick one.
That would be easy in the sheriff's race. I can't believe there's 37 Mike Browns in Lake County, Indiana.
Wait, you looked it up?
You think I looked it up? I made it up.
Hey, Schmidley, go look up, find out how many Michael Browns there are.
How many Mike Browns in Lake County? Hey, Schmidley. Ryan would hate if I start calling him Schmidley. Hey, Schmidley. So let's look at this. Mike Brown's also running in it, right? Now, I used to call him Adam Walsh for like a year. Sorry.
Just don't call me late for dinner.
So Mike Brown is in this along with Rich Ligon. I couldn't think of anything. Rich Wiggin, Mitch Ligon, or my favorite, Lich Riggin. And you could throw a number of those up. But for Mike Brown, that would be the only thing you could do is you could find the other Mike Browns to run. Then one guy would be Mike Brown. The other one would be Michael B. Brown.
Yeah.
And then...
But, you know, I mean, we also talked about the fact that it's the name game, and we had our laughs with regards to that. And then this whole, who is this, Jackie Stewart? Jackie
Sutton.
And then Jackie Stewart. But nobody's really talking about what they're going to do to improve the office of sheriffs. Nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody gets all excited, you included as the media, about this whole Jackie Stewart thing, but nothing having to do with, you know, what are they going to do as far as the fact that's the largest consuming office of taxpayer dollars. And it's not as fun. I understand it from your standpoint, but I think really that's sad.
Do you really think?
That's sad.
All right, here's my 2 choices. I could yell out in the morning when I go out there at all the passing cars and ask them if they're Jackie Sutton, or I could talk about the issues of the day.
So Jimmy wanted to know, I told him, I said, Jimmy, you should go walk around the bowling alley and introduce yourself as Jackie Sutton. And I go, that would just be hilarious.
Are you Jackie Sutton? Let's go to line 1. Hey, are you Jackie Sutton?
No, this is Bill.
Oh, wow! That one,
let me get back
that one hit like a thud.
let me get back to this flooding issue. We had a history of major flooding problems, and we spent millions and millions on the solution. The solution proved to be no solution at all, and we have the same problems. We had a rain recently, not the Armageddon rain, but a significant one, and the same problems are there. In South Hammond, I think it was 6 months or a year ago, people are told that you're either out of the floodplain or they're close, so they either cancel their flood insurance or get reduced policies, and now they've got gigantic problems and feet of water in their basement.
Where's the gigantic problems? Because remember, Bill, not only is it water, stormwater, but it also, in a lot of, especially the older areas, it's the combined sewers where stormwater and sanitary go to the same pipe.
Of course. And that issue was there and should have been recognized during the previous analysis and the expenditure of millions and millions of dollars, and it wasn't. And people either canceled or reduced their flood insurance based on this representation that it would be a solution. And I strongly recommend that when you look at a solution now, that you consider some different engineers.
Duly noted. And, there's a lot.
My home life hasn't been very pleasant.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you from the standpoint of engineers, there's a lot of different engineering groups. There's just not one as far as looking at the solutions.
Well,
as it pertains to the flood insurance.
The previous project hasn't been very successful, have they?
What previous project?
Like the one where what previous project?
Yeah.
The flooding solution project that was completed, and that the barriers and everything else.
Well, since the flood in 2008, not knowing specifically what you're talking about, I mean, since there were two segments of the actual Little Cal that had to be completed as a part of the Army Corps of Engineers Federal Flood Control Project, and that was from the boulevard and all the way to the state line. Once that was completed and certified, 1,400 private property owners were taken out of having to pay mandatory flood insurance with their mortgage companies. And we've equated conservatively to close to $4 million in premium savings since that was completed annually.
And
so
now
that's
those
a benefit.
People canceled they don't have the flood insurance, and they have the same water problem.
Well, I could debate that, 8 ways to Sunday, to which I would, because
the truth is in my basement and a bunch of other people's in South Hammond.
If the basement's coming up through the drainage, then that's a different thing than coming in through the windows. So those are things that have to be factored into it. And then, anybody close to the river or Hart Ditch or Deep River or any ditch for that example, regardless of whether it's required or not, it would be highly recommended that they get some sense of flood insurance, because you are close and we are living on a swamp. So you have to take that into consideration.
We gotta go. It's you ruined my buzz. You're buzz killing me. I'm sorry. It's a real buzzkill. All right, I got some texts here. You guys are so unprofessional. Yeah, laugh and avoid the real problems. You want to call in and tell me what the real problems are? I'll let you tell them. Go ahead. I think all right, let's talk about this. I already dealt with murder, several murders this morning, over the week and the weekend. Gary, Chesterton, others. I dealt with several threats to schools with guns here locally. I think we dealt with that. Talked about flooding for a good half an hour, but that's not enough. And not only that, you can call anytime and bring up a real problem. But yes, I do get criticism for laughing and making fun of things at times, and it happens. And I had somebody do that at the Haven House thing. Some of that stuff isn't funny. You weren't watching, I had walked away. And I'm like, well, some of it is. The sheriff's race is funny because Jackie Sutton's all over it. And then you've got, all right, hey, I got a question for everybody. All right, 3 Hispanics, 3 blacks, and a white guy walk into a bar. What is it? It's the sheriff's race.
So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in life. It's just, you can still be cognizant of it. You can still have, things that you work on, but at some point you have to find that balance. And, the
Teddy Bromingas.
Yeah, I mean,
they got one here, Teddy Bromingas.
The balance is part of it. And if you don't have balance, then you're just a crotchety old man or a crotchety old lady. And if you're not, then, if you just laugh about it all the time, then you're just, you'll miss. I mean, the only difference really, Jimmy, is that you and I do this on the radio. I mean, that's always a challenge. I mean, talk about setting yourself up for criticism.
Hey,
too bad, by the way.
Exactly. What do you want me to do? It's like, just deal with it. Because part of it is that there's just so many entertaining things that happen around here, and I'm very grateful that. Hey, can you put that one on Local 599? Hey, who is this? Hello. Hey, Mad Crack?
Glad Mac?
We lost Glad Mac.
We got 47 guys pushing buttons all over this.
Hey, Baker, Friday night, it looks like Purdue and IU could play in the Big Ten tournament.
You
If
think
IU
so?
wins on Thursday.
At Madison Square Garden.
At
You
Madison
going?
Square Garden. I will be announcing 2 very good basketball games from Lake Central High School on Friday night.
So wait a minute. Your daughter's in New York. Purdue and IU are going to play basketball in New York, and you're going to St. John?
Wow. Let's put it into perspective.
That's pretty interesting for a retired guy.
Considering I could get a media pass and it's $79 to fly to LaGuardia, and I could be back Saturday morning. Think about this.
Well, I think you should just close up the sandwich shop and give everybody the day off and say, "Hey,
well,
power's out. Blame somebody else."
I would think about doing that had we not actually found some sponsors for this upcoming video tournament of high school basketball. But yes, it looks like we may have Purdue and IU. I just want to know how you felt when the guy on Friday night from Ohio State hoisted that 3.
Really, chucking it from the bench. In the double overtime, nothing but net. I'm like, I had some choice words. It's still going to.
It was a Baker and I had watched a good portion of the game, and then I'm like, I gotta go. I don't want to sit through. Was that overtime or
double?
Double. I'm leaving. I'll get home for the overtime, and left. And by the time I got home, and then that second overtime, what a great game! And Don Fisher got to listen to him a little bit on WJOB. But, man, when that guy hit that long 3, that just was a dagger because that's what they did to Purdue. They won right at the end there.
Good teams know how to pull out the games when they need to. And, it is what it is. That's why they play the game. And you know what? Because he hit a 3, makes it more fun. You'll appreciate this. So he hits the 3. Guess what the spread was? 1.5.
Hey, also, I want to say hi to Billy's parents. Billy's mom's not really happy that he comes on here and doesn't take issues seriously. And I want to say hi to Billy's dad. And next time he can't make it, we have agreed that you guys would come on and take his place, just so you know.
Not going to happen.
I forget your mom's first name. It's always been Mrs. Baker.
Sandy
Baker and Bill Baker.
So my dad's, retired from Inland, and my mom retired as a retired educator. So go figure out how come, I have this program going on.
I told Baker, I go, well, I don't know if your mom's so upset about you coming on that she doesn't wake up to listen anymore. Why don't we just call her?
I don't know if I told you this. See, because both my folks went to East Chicago, Washington. So I was sitting over there yesterday, and we were talking about this. And I go to my mom. I go, yeah, I was on the radio. I said, I have East Chicago, Washington blood in my veins. She goes, you do not. I started laughing. I go, that's exactly what they said on the radio.
And that was exactly what Kenny Bennett said. Baker goes, well, we saw Bennett, and Kenny Bennett, longtime EC guy. And Baker's like, well, I got Washington blood in me. And Bennett's just like, you do not.
You're from Munster. I go, I am from Munster. It's seasoned with Munster, but both my folks, to which I'm byproduct, went to Washington. I go, literally, that's how that works.
All right, we'll take one more phone call or two, and let's see how Mad Crack is doing.
Jimmy.
Mad Crack, how are you?
Good. How you fellas doing? Fully recovered from your bowling fiasco?
It was fun.
Either one of you guys bowl?
Oh.
Yeah, brother, unbelievable.
Yes,
hey, Billy, I got to tell you, man, the humor started off on the right foot when you said, Jimmy, you looked up those 37 Mike Browns? Of course, the answer was no. Come on,
I made it up, man. What do you want me to say? Think I'm going to do homework? Why would I do homework?
At least you're honest. Now, let me get to the serious thing here. I love the sheriff joke. But are those 7 people all on the Democratic side? Is that right?
Yeah.
I think there's 8 or 9. I'm missing I simplified it for humor purposes.
Right, because that would have taken a little more research and looked up a couple synonyms or antonyms in some kind of offline dictionary.
Hey, we stipulate to the facts of the case. Get on, okay?
Exactly. Okay, here's the question now. The hypocrisy in the Democrats. Because last time I was told that I'm a bad guy for looking at race and ethnicity. I'm supposed to look at everything. Everybody's equal. We're all the same. And yet these 8 nitwits on the Democratic side are bringing up their ethnicity, their past relationships. They can't exploit their ethnicity to win this race. They can't say who they are. And yet, every one of them, almost to a person, has got something wrong in a criminal background here. We got fake currency, we got ghost payroll, we got machine guns being delivered. God only knows how many people they killed that were brought in right onto the dock in Lake County. And yet, they take offense to your joke, and yet the joke is true to a T. The Jackie Sutton site, you find it deplorable. You show me one deplorable comment, I'll show you a true comment.
Hey,
wait,
stop
years,
right now. I got to ask a question.
Okay, I'm ready. Wait, I got my lawyer sitting here. Okay, go ahead.
Are you Jackie Sutton?
I'm going to plead the fifth. Is that okay?
Oh, sounds kind of fishy to me.
Schmedley.
Listen, Timmy.
Schmedley, what do you think?
Listen, Schmedley, you make sure you got some soda pops ready for sectional coverage. Because one of my all-time favorite local announcers, Jimmy Dilo and Kuziak, are back in business. And I don't want to have Kuziak kicked out, so don't give him as much as you're taking, all right, Jimmy?
You know what? I got to say that it actually gets worse than that, in that me and
pregame with Dilo.
Me and Kuziak and Pagatti all together in the same carriage. It's a rough
Not enough mic time.
It's a rough crowd.
I cannot wait for that to show up. I don't care if you're covering. I don't care if it's North Judson versus Rensselaer on a game. You three, I'm there for that one no matter what, man. It's going to be great.
I got a question for you, though. If you walked
I'm not Jackie Sutton.
All right, good. Thank you. If you walked into the ballot box and you're looking for a guy that you kind of know out of Cherville, and on the ballot you see Daffy Ducky Downing, Darryl Dawkins, Dwayne Deedlow, Dick Durbin, and Dave Dowling, does that confuse you? Don't answer, but
Hey, you 12?
Hey, listen. 3 black guys, 3 Hispanics, and a white guy walk into a bar. What is it? It's the sheriff's race. All right, here we go. Last moment here. Vinny, what's going on with you, man?
Hey, how you guys doing? How you doing, Bill?
Morning, Vinny.
Good morning. Hey, Cindy and I just want to give you guys a compliment. Thanks. When you guys blocked off Kennedy Avenue, you guys took the right action, the right approach. You guys didn't wait until the last minute, back in 2008. So we commend you with the commission on that.
Thank you, sir.
It's serious stuff. I mean, we're trying to, when we're talking about the flood, remain serious, and about the rivers and stuff. We're trying to not talk seriously about the sheriff's race because that has entertainment value. But, Vinny, you're right about that. I mean, that's got to be closed. Those things got to be closed early, and everyone's got to be known. I mean, it was out on social media. We put it out here, and it's just part of what it is because they're low, right? I mean,
and part of the thing that we're spending money on is to try to eliminate the amount of those crossings that have to be closed and sandbagged. And, by raising those, bridge decks, you don't have to close them, and, traffic can, be open during those types of events. And, Kennedy Avenue is on the docket to get raised, so we don't have to close Kennedy Avenue anymore. And the premise is for a long-term solution with something like those events. Why create a situation where manpower has to go out there in the middle of the rains and close down those types of things? So we're going to use some of the resources available to raise that deck, similar to what we did at Columbia Avenue between Hammond and Munster. That used to always have to be closed as well, but we raised the deck so it no longer has to be one of those places. And there's a couple in Gary, so we continue to chip away at all of the things that were handed to us to try to make it better moving forward.
Well, I've been out here. I've been out here 18 years now. Moving from Pittsburgh, and you guys did a great job. Especially I remember, they had to be closed on Columbia, Kennedy. You had to make alternate routes. Yeah, maybe it was a little inconvenience for, the motorists, but in the long run, it was a good proactive on your part. So we commend you guys on that.
Thanks, Vinny.
Way to go, Vinny. Thanks a lot, buddy. Talk to you. Billy Baker's
versus reactive. Gotta like it.
Baker's got to go to work, and I got to go work out, and that ought to do it. Baker, thanks
Straight
for coming
for a big, thing of fried potatoes? Is that where you're going to work out
I'm
with?
going to go right down the street here and have 2 eggs scrambled with hash browns, and that ought to about do it for now.
Hey, enjoy the sunshine, everybody. Make it a great week.
All right, guys, that'll do it for me. Also, AM 1230 WJOB 104.7 FM, also on the TuneIn app. Hey, if you miss something, you can always go back in the morning. We had James Hudson at 6:30 this morning. You could watch that on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. We had Dan Carden at 6:45. Ryan and I and Sam Michael broke down some of the sectionals around 7. And then Baker came in and we guffawed for a little while. But we also took a serious moment there and a little bit about what was going on with the rivers and kind of reviewed what happened last week in terms of the rains and stuff. And then, of course, we broke down the sheriff's race. And just so you guys know, there have been some new entrants on the ballots, and I'm going to tell you right now. Of course, perhaps some people are thinking that they're playing the name game around Dave Dowling of Cherville because all of a sudden it's Daffy Duck, Ducky Downing, Daryl Dawkins, Dick Durbin, and Dwayne Deedlow are also on there. So if you get a little confused, you're not the only person. And if you walk into a bar and you see 3 Hispanics, 3 blacks, and a white guy, you'll know what it is. All right, guys, I'm out. See you later. Bye.
As the preacher once said, the best kept secret in Lake County is Lakeside Inn 2, restaurant and bar, Cherville, Indiana, serving seafood